Hello, hello. Oh, okay. This is gonna be awful, but I'm gonna have to test it. Can you hear me now? This is gonna be awful, but I'm gonna have to test it. Cool. Do I sound okay? If you can hear me, do I sound loud enough? Am I too quiet? Do I need to turn myself up? Get a haircut is what I need to get. Cool. Alright. So, a little quiet. Okay, I can turn it up a little bit more. If it's too loud, just I'll turn it up to max. If it's too loud, just let me know. Um, I'm just gonna start because I don't know if there'll be more people or who's interested. So I'm just gonna start so I can go have some dinner. So if you're here and you're watching, obviously thanks for coming. To give you a bit of background about why I do these recaps, or if it's the first time you've watched this recap or you've not seen what we've done previously, we have done, or I have done, a recap of the year for London Esports every year since its inception. Um, and the idea behind the whole thing is one, it's a transparency thing. I think the word gets thrown around quite a lot, and is thrown around the meaning's kind of become loose in what it says. But for us, for me, transparency is a key thing. Obviously, those who are here watching, obviously, must like myself or the brand or something to spend your time here. So for me, it's about being transparent back and kind of just opening up and talk about what's going on with us and why it's the exciting time to follow London. But also the second thing, which is again maybe the reason I started it back in 2017 when I started doing these recaps. Um, it's always nice to have something to look back on in the year after. So this year I was quite sad actually because I did the stream, but I forgot to save the VOD and upload it to YouTube, which is what I normally do. So normally I would around this time go back, watch the VOD, see what the goals I set myself for 2021 would have been, be able to go back and reflect on those goals. Did we do them? Did we not? And then set new goals. So last year was the first year that I didn't actually upload the video. Um, so it was a bit of a bummer. But every year prior to that, it's been quite nice to um, say this is a goal that we're trying to reach, and then see how we reach that goal, or see um, how we work towards achieving that goal. If we didn't quite achieve it, is actually a sign. I have to apologise for like the look of the stream. I just whipped it up very quickly. I think Alex would be fuming with me if he was watching, because it's not our brand um, guidelines and such like that. But so I'll probably get a slap on the wrist later. But yeah, I mean I'll start straight. I hope this looks good. Um, a bit about what the plan to discuss today is these 5 points. Really, it'd be really quick, half hour max. I think we'll dart through them. But I want to talk about the internal changes we had at London over last year, and the benefits of that, and why that's a good thing, and the progress we've been making. The results, we are an esports team. Results for us in the competitive side is very important. So how have we actually been doing competitively this year? I think a big talking point was like the exit from League of Legends that we did recently. So I want to touch a little bit on that, about why we did it, and such. I want to talk a little bit about our partners that we run on in 2021, what they've allowed us to do, what they're going to allow us to do in 2022, and then the like I said, the bit that for me I can look back on next year is the 2022 plans, and I shall be sitting here again next year, this time next year, watching this stream. So hello, future Alfie, and discussing what I set as the plans and the goals and how and if they were achieved. Um, in terms of like questions and everything, obviously I want this to be interactive. What we'll do is we'll go through each point. If there's any questions or any like thing you want to ask me, like I said, complete transparency as much as I can do. We'll save each point and um, we'll try and answer those per point. Um, cool. I'm gonna start. Cool. So, oh, cool. So internal changes. I think the key one, and some bullet points here. So the key one that happened this year, that was announced, was Krim joined us as a non-exec director. We've been working. Krim had been in and around London back in 2020, really late 2020, and he'd been around the team for a lot longer before he was announced. We were just getting some stuff sorted for the announcement. Karim for us is a massive pickup in terms of knowledge and experience onto our team, and I think it's been obvious since he's joined us the direction we've taken commercially as a company and the partners we've been able to onboard. A very key reason for that is because of Karim and the strategy and the experience that he's been able to instill on us commercially. It was something that I think I remember talking about last year in the recap I did last year, which unfortunately is now lost forever. Was again recognizing my personal weaknesses, and it was talking about addicts when addicts joined us last year. My two weaknesses that I felt was one was the commercial side, and the second was the marketing and social media side. So for me, it was really important to try and solve those, and I'm very biased, obviously, but I think I've got two of the best guys in the business for it. I think Alex speaks for himself. He's a very experienced guy, very good at what he does. And Karim, if you just look at his history and youngest chief commercial officer in the Premier League, brought esports into the Premier League, loves the game. We play Warzone all the time together. Then the size of the deals he did at West Ham, etc. There's a bit more on the article on the website if you want to go read it. Was a massive pickup for us, and has allowed us, again, very biased. I believe that now we have the best internal structure of an esports team in the UK, outside of maybe like the ones that have ascended us in the sense of like Fanatics and maybe XO as well. But again, I still believe that the experience that these guys have and the board now, we can rival a lot of esports teams. The second one was an introduction of like a new department within our team, which was an events management team, which I believe is something we talk about in terms of goals later, which I'll go more in depth of. But for us, again, another key area that we want to improve on was running events, being involved, being active within the community, and actually being able to do physical events. And that's something that, again, I will touch on in the goals for next year. But having this new team, Mulgrew is, I think this is an exclusive. Mulgrew is actually taken the role as our events team manager, moving on from the League of Legends manager. So Mulgrew is still with us and the organisation, and he's pivoted from the League of Legends manager to helping us run events and such, and that includes some events around League of Legends that, again, I will talk about in a bit. Content team, again, another key point I touched on last year was improving our content and the people involved in our content. Although I believe that Keltoon, Raisins, and Pixelated, who join us as content creators, did help our content team. I'm still overly not happy about London's position in terms of content. I think we did okay, but we don't want to do okay. So I believe we could do better. Again, next year there'll be a lot more content, a lot more growth in the content team, and a lot more of a focus on content specific. But there were massive milestones for those joining. And new hires which haven't been announced yet from my understanding, which again we'll touch on later, but around the office space and moving into 2022, being able to build out our team, and having new hires is something that's really exciting for us. It's the first time that we're able to actually bring on someone outside of this esports bubble, if you want to call it that. You probably see the same old faces all the time working with us, but it's the first time that we can actually bring someone outside and going through that process and bringing them into the space that we have is really exciting. So I'm sorry that you've been lumbered with Krim's face sitting above me for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, they're the internal changes that have happened for us. Like I said, we're in a really good position. I believe that 2019-2020, this was a really key area for us. This is where our weakness was internal. We didn't have the knowledge, we didn't have the number of people to do what we wanted to do. This, I believe, has now been fixed, and this is no longer an issue for us. This is now actually a strength, and that's a really key thing for us. We want to take our issues and turn them into strengths. So our internal team now is one of our strengths. So it's been a really good year in that sense. If there's no questions about internal or anything like that, I'll move on to the next slide. Cool. I'm just gonna move. Cool. So competitive results. We took part in 4 seasons this year across 2 different games. Starting in Rainbow Six earlier in the year. And sorry, started with Rainbow Six. We left Rainbow Six, I think, around March time, and kind of became like a League of Legends team, basically. I'll start with Rainbow Six because that's the quickest. We loved Rainbow Six, and we loved the community around Rainbow Six. We loved the structure of the tournaments, the path to the top leagues. I think everything for us in Rainbow Six made sense, and we really enjoyed it. The viewership was good. Everything about Rainbow Six was good. But for us, it was actually the first time for us that we didn't perform well. And it was the first time for us actually where we entered into a scene where someone like myself or I talk mainly myself didn't really have like a prior knowledge to the game, to the scene, what made a player good. So it was a big learning curve for me about finding the manager or the team or responsible for who's going to be playing for us, who's going to be managing us. How do we know they're good? And it really was based off of like, there's a lot of key factors, of course, previous results, etc. And talking to players, and when every player and every team that would speak to you, they all say they're going to win, which is obviously what you expect. But for us, it was the first time where we had a lot of disappointing results, and it kind of hurt, to be fair, in terms of what we built as a brand at London. From Counter-Strike to League, we've kind of, I feel like we've kind of synonymously been successful, or we've always been the high. We're kind of always in that conversation of a team that could win. And in this time, it was always in a conversation of who's going to get relegated or who's going to come last. And it kind of was like a flipped. We were having a very good league season, but at the same time, we're also battling relegation in Rainbow Six, and it was like a weird difference. And again, something that was new to us. After we did finish 8th in Div 1, which we also finished in the back end of 2020. We finished last in that season as well. So it was 2 really poor seasons in a row. We decided that basically time was up, and we needed to focus on League of Legends. We just didn't basically have a plan, if I'm going to be honest, and a plan to win. We didn't have the resources to pump into a team that we knew was going to do really well. And it was just, I thought we was just going to get into a loop of like having to trust the team, and then kind of more like coin flip instead of being able to be a bit more decisive with our picks and be able to figure out who's on our team, and a bit more research, a bit more structure to the team. It was like, who's available? There's 2 teams available. We'll go with you and just hope that you do better. So we decided to pull out of that and focus on League of Legends. This was after the second place finish, and we'll move into League of Legends. That was after the second place finish in UKLC. So again, it was at a time where we just came second, which, if you remember, the season was the season I think Resolve went unbeaten. We took Resolve to the final, lost 3-2. Our coach wasn't there, had a power cut, so we were just a team. I think if the coach was there, maybe a different result. But obviously that's in the past. Second place for us was really good. We had a season prior to that where we came sixth, I think, and it was on the last game day. If we won, we came first. If we lost, we came sixth, and we lost, and that was heartbreaking. So to be in a final, guaranteed Telia Masters, the pressure was off, and it was more about can we win. Again, we have this mentality here, and it's instilled across all the people that work at London and the people that play for London is a winning mentality. For those that have been involved in London here, maybe in the past from coaches, if there's anyone here, you'll be aware that when we have conversations, the conversations always we want to win, and we're also a sliver of realism as well. We're not deluded in the sense of saying if there's a team that's triple our budget, triple everything, that we're going to beat them. It's how can we be realistic about how can we get results with what we have and how do we do that. So after that second place finish, we decided to put all our focus on League of Legends, all our budget that we had for both games, and win the league, and that was the goal. We wanted to win UKLC. We wanted to realistically, the goal was also to get promotion into NLC before the changes. So we wanted to have a really good Telia Masters, and the idea was to go into 2022 with a path to EU Masters and grow. We did really well in the summer season when winning the league. I think we did it quite comfortably. It was good to win. It was a long time since we'd last actually won. I wish I had the trophy here. I could have shown off the trophy. It was the last time that we actually had won something that was had a lot of meaning. So it was nice to finally be back on that side of the result. And yeah, Telia Masters went okay. We didn't do great. We didn't do bad. We wish we should have gone further, but obviously now knowing what we knew, it doesn't really matter anyway. And yeah, there were the 4 seasons we had. We'll talk about competitive plans for 2022 again right at the end, but a bit disappointed with how much we competed in this season. And yeah, something that we're definitely looking to improve on in 2022. Before I move, is there any questions before I move on again? I'll just wait 30 seconds to see if there's anything. If not, then obviously we can do questions at the end if there is any. For everyone that's watching as well, there will be a VOD of this uploaded to YouTube. So if you can't watch it all or you need to shoot off, then you can catch up on our YouTube channel. I'll make sure to link it on my Twitter afterwards. Cool. Cool. So the exit, which I think is a big talking point, and I know there's been a lot of conversation on Twitter about why teams are leaving, or people's thoughts about why they think teams are leaving. And I just kind of want to give my two cents. The most I can do without saying too much, but also giving the information about why. So I thought I'd start on a new format. So they changed obviously the format from the UKLC and other ERLs in UK Nordics having their own separate leagues to be met into the Telios at the end to 5 division NLC where teams are funneled basically for 5 divisions. Also, it's key to note that seasons in Division 1 and 2, seasons in Division 1. If I'm wrong about this, by the way, I may be completely wrong, but this is from my understanding. Division 1 season is longer, so a team in Division 1 cannot relegate throughout the whole year, so they get to play 2 splits in Division 1. They collect points, so if you finish points, you get 200 points. Or if you finish first, you get 200 points. And at the end of the second season, whoever's got the point, that tally is when you decide who's top, bottom, middle. In Division 2, which I believe then goes down to the rest, it's 2 seasons, so you can relegate in the first season down to Division 3. Division 3 can promote, and then the second season is the division that matters. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's how it works. And the idea was so that Division 1 teams have that stability throughout the year, which I can agree with. I think it's really good for those teams in Division 1 to be able to sit there and say, we are going to be in NLC Division 1 up until October of next year. So what that means for us is we can have a stable budget for our team because we know we're going to get this, and it also means that when we go talk to potential partners and commercial conversations, we know exactly what we're doing for the next year. For us, and it currently still is, it was always hard in UKLC because we're speaking to a company, a brand, and we say, cool, we're in this season, that ends in April, and then maybe another one will start in June, that will go until August, and then maybe they'll run a cup October to November, we're not sure, we're just hoping. And it doesn't give the best sort of look into terms of like a brand looking in. So I can understand that, and I actually believe that the format is good. The idea between the 5 leagues and the way the divisions work, I do think it's the correct format for growth in the league. In terms of why we left, if we think it's a good league, a good format, we were not too unhappy with finishing Div 2. For us again, we're where we are. We are aware of our status in terms of like as an esports team. We are aware of where we sit on this proverbial ladder of esports. We was okay with sitting Div 2 to grow a project to get into Div 1. Very similar to how the idea was to get UKLC to get into NLC. We were still okay to be there. We would have liked Division 1, obviously, but realistically, I don't think if we were in Division 1, we could have competed with some of the teams and the budgets. So therefore, we would have probably just been smacked around for a year in trying to be trying to be direct about it. We would have just been beaten for a year. Which would maybe not have been a bad thing for the amount of, but we're not sure. But obviously, like viewership and stuff like that. So while we decided to leave, it comes down to one reason, and it's kind of quite a boring reason. It's just the business side of the league. So I don't know how much is public, or I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but the previous league in UKLC was I think this was public. There were stipends that were paid to the esports team, the organisations, in terms of like able to keep players competing. And for us, it was really good. It meant that we were able to, some teams used that and just paid that to their players. I think some maybe just pocketed it and didn't pay, but that's obviously not for me. For us, we took that and it allowed us to build on top of our already existing budget to have a bigger budget. They then, with this changes, all the reparations, all the stipends, anything, any prize money is all sitting within the top division, so Division 1, and none of it trickles down to any division below Division 1. So not only is there no rev share or stipend system in Div 2 or below, there's no prize pool, there's no money basically within the ecosystem below Division 1, which makes it really hard for us from a business perspective to go, or for me to sit down when it comes to like around now time and plan our budgets for next year, or a couple of months ago when I'm planning our budgets for next year, and say, okay, we're going to go spend X amount of thousands on a League of Legends team, to then sit there and go, okay, so now we're in Division 2, we get one season where we can get relegated, but we can't be promoted, so there's only an option for us to be relegated. We're not sure of, because this is a new system, a new league, we're not sure of the amount of money other teams are going to spend. Are they going to spend a lot of money? Are they not going to spend a lot of money? How do we know what to compete with? Until it starts getting to the point of like last minute where you start to kind of learn about the teams and what teams people are building, that's when you can kind of figure it out. But also like what's my return on investment? And again, it's very boring. But if I'm going to spend a lot of money on competing in this league, if I'm not making money from the league or getting some money back for competing in that league, what else is there? We already know from the UKLC and other League of Legends leagues, viewership is not the main factor of of the league. There's not much viewership into it, and there's nothing else really. There's no social. There's no real good social numbers. There's nothing really keeping us in this league, which was really tough because again, I think I said in the letter that I put out, we really like League. I really like League. I really like the scene. I really think it's developed here in the UK really well in terms of like the fan base and community. I think there is improvements. I think sometimes there's not enough support shown to teams, um, but then also on the other hand, there is a lot of support at certain points. I just wish it was consistent. Um, and yeah, from why we left, it was purely business, purely there was no return of investment basically on staying in that league. So we pulled out as soon as we basically figured that out. We wasn't allowed to. Again, I'm not. I think this was public actually. We wasn't allowed to sell our spot. We had to give our spot away. So what we worked for within the the calibrations didn't matter. We had a fair few people reached out about actually buying our spot off us who wanted to compete in Div 2. We was not allowed to sell our spot, which for me again is a bit backwards. And I think for them is maybe an idea that there was a lot of teams that were leaving. They don't want teams to leave, so if you don't allow teams to sell the spot, there's some examples that I don't want to name in the maybe in the higher division that you could probably see that were maybe trying to get out but wasn't allowed to, so didn't. So I think that's what they were trying to do. Some teams, and again for us, we had to sit there and go, well, now we just spent X amount of thousands again trying to be calibrated for this division, and we're not allowed to sell our spot. So therefore, are we going to take the hit and move on, or do we commit and invest? We decided that we just had to take the hit. So we left. And in terms of like ever returning, I hope one day that we do. A lot of our goals were set upon the idea of competing at NLC level in terms of EU Masters and creating this development of talent that will be able to be filtered into LEC, and that was kind of our strategy. So it has taken a big hit on what our plans were. I can't see it happening in the short term because I can't see them changing that league structure. I think that Freaks where you will have this tournament will have this. I don't think we're going to see another change next year. So I think this will always be a part. There may be a chance down the line where we have a bit of a bigger budget that we can just maybe buy a spot in Division 1 and go back to and kind of pick up where we left off when we're in a better place. And it's a lot more about maybe the viewership is up, maybe there's a different play there. But for now, I can't see us returning. Definitely not next year. I can't see us returning in the next couple of years, which again is a big shame. Cool. I'm going to move on because I don't want to take everyone's time up too much. Is there any questions? Or if not, I'll just move on. I believe we've got 2 more slides left, but the next slide is going to be a quick one. Cool. I'll just move on. Cool. So quickly talk about some the new partners that we've run on throughout 2021. This year it's been very successful for us in terms of a partnerships perspective. The 3 officially confirmed partners that was brought on board, I think, are 3 partners that was very very happy to get over the line. It shows our direction that we're moving in the correct direction as an esports organisation, as a business. What's happened there? I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it's been a very good year in that sense. Kappa, I think Kappa was last year, wasn't they? I hope we refused Kappa from our mindset. I want to start with Ava because they were the first announced. Ava first CBD partnership in esports was a really interesting piece for us to talk about CBD and the positive and the negatives, negative reception it receives media wise, and the differences, and how it actually can be a benefit and how it does benefit people, while also being able to narrate a storyline about men's mental health and wellness and other areas of men's mental health that we was able to narrate, including like the documentary we did, and that was really exciting for us to be able to, like I said, narrate the story. Like I said, we've always been quite loud about the fact that we try to be a bit more vocal about problems instead of kind of shying away from difficult subjects or sort of just putting a tweet out. We want to take action instead of just saying things. And I think for this was one of the partners when we spoke to Ava that we both kind of was like clicked on, was like, yes, this is a really good example, a really good chance for us to tell the brand story, but also tell a story to the audience about mental health and mental health within gaming and the struggles and the challenges that professional gamers have, or professional esports athletes have, however you want to say it. Ava, yeah, very good brand to work with. Unfortunately, I don't think this is an exclusive or anything like that. We won't be working with them in 2022. It was a really exciting time over the last year working with them, and it's been really good. They've moved on to different ventures in terms of they're not Ava anymore, so the brand doesn't exist. So good luck to them. We're really good friends with the guys over there, and yeah, we wish them the best in their new ventures. I'll then talk about Roccat. I've realised I labelled these probably the wrong way around. Roccat, again, very exciting. We probably know as an esports, if there's, as I was in Chris, I can see that you're in the chat. Peripheral partners are probably one of those ones where it's kind of like the mainstay in an esports team. As an esports organisation that competes on games, having a brand that can partner with you, that can for your headset, mouse, and keyboards is kind of like the staple partnership, where it seems like the go-to obvious one to do. We worked with some other brands before, and it is, again, being as transparent as I can, it's quite hard to work with some brands in this space because there are a lot of very, very big companies, including Roccat, but they work with other big teams or creators, so it's harder normally for like a smaller team to get in there because they already have quite a high marketing spend on bigger teams. With a lot more followers, a lot more interactions, a lot more engagement. There's no reason for them to work with a quote unquote smaller team, which again we understand where we are currently. So when we spoke to Roccat and Roccat reached out to us and we got on a call, it was more this kind of synonymous idea about what Roccat were trying to do, what we were trying to do, and everything worked out well, as you can see, and it's really good to work with a brand like Roccat in this space in terms of a peripheral partner. They're a massive company that work with some of the largest content creators out there, and teams, and obviously Roccat being an off-brand or part of the Turtle Beach family, a very established brand, and that was what we were looking for. We were looking for a company. We were talking to a few companies, but again, we wanted that security. And yeah, we're looking forward to working with Roccat further. And again, hopefully we can do some announcements soon with what's happening with them moving into the new year. And then the last one is Heres, which was obviously the most recent announcement that we did a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago now. And again, probably the most exciting from like a outside perspective. Heres, if no one saw the announcement, is a 1.2 million square feet I'm trying to think of facility in a sense, in Stratford / kind of Hackney area in London, with loads of businesses on site, including likes of Barclays and Sports Interactive, who make the Foot Manager games. I've known the guys over there at Heres for a long time, and we've been chatting for a while about how we can be on site and help out, and what a partnership would look like. And again, a couple of years have gone by, but we're now finally able to get everything sorted, and it allows us to have a space in London, in the key area of London, which is an area I'm from, which again is a massive thing. But it allows us to have office space to grow the team and have a space where we can work out of and as a collective, whilst also giving us a chance to build a training facility that we can use for our players. Again, if obviously it's very important if we can have a space that when we're talking to teams, that we have a facility in that is our own, that we can bring players. It is a massive tool for us to bring the best players to us that we can get. So having a facility and an office space on site, as long as with some other perks that will be coming out next year, is really exciting. Oh, let's have a drink. Is really exciting. And yeah, it's definitely a big one to end the year on. Cool. Last one, because I'm just a bit conscious of time. 2022 plans. I'm going to speed run through this as much as I can. So I feel like I've been talking for 40 minutes straight now. Competitive plans moving forward, as I said earlier, we wasn't happy with what we did competitively, so there will be new teams. That's something we're working on currently. I don't want to release what titles we're moving into yet, because it's I kind of want it to be a bit of a surprise. So there will be at least 2 new titles in 2022, which we're really excited for, and I'm excited to be able to announce them. The office space, as I just mentioned, being able to expand the team, being able to have a physical place that we can all work out of, a physical place for us to hold meetings, meet, have this space. COVID has been around now for a couple of years, it feels like, or coming up to a couple of years. And yeah, it's just nice to be able to go into a physical location every day with our team and be able to work out of a space, as well as a training facility, as I just mentioned. Massive for us in terms of commercial execution, in terms of bringing big players to the brand next year, etc. So we're really excited to show that off as well. And again, there'll be a full tour of the facility out next year. Events, as I mentioned earlier, with Mulgrew joining us as the events manager, and this kind of goes hand in hand with supporting the UK ecosystem. We plan to have a lot more events physically out there in 2022. We plan to release a PR piece actually over the next couple of weeks that outlines these a bit more. But we want to support the UK ecosystem, even if we're not directly linked to that category anymore, if that makes sense. So the ideas behind the Proving Grounds, which were very successful last year, that I kind of feel like we took an idea and put our own stamp on it, and something that maybe the UK's missed over the last couple of years. They will be returning a more consistent basis with bigger prizes, with physical events for finals, etc. A much bigger production. So stuff like that is very exciting, as well as working with some of UK teams, universities, education, as we do with Queen Mary's, etc. So I think that's everything. 2022 should be a good year. I'm not expecting to, if I again being transparent, I'm not expecting to sit here next year and as we reflect on 2022 to be talking about how we're now the number 1 esports team in the world, or how we're now up there competing with the likes of Fnatic. I still think we've got a long way to go. But after, I would like to be able to sit here next year and say that we've won a couple more things. We've entered into a couple more esports. We've grown exponentially. We've been able to welcome, and we've been commercially successful again for 2 years in a row, which is a really tough thing to do, especially in esports. And again, I kind of want to use this year and next year as a way for us to lay the foundations moving forward, so that we're not in a situation where we can't grow anymore. It's set the foundations and allow us to grow consistently over the next 5 years. So I think we're in a really good space for that. I think we have a really good team for that. I think the brand and the socials are moving in a good position to do that. And yeah, I'm excited for 2022. Cool. So if anyone's got anything else to say, any questions, then other than that, I will be sort of signing off here. I'll give it a few seconds to see if anyone's got anything to say. I assume that means no one's got anything to say. Decent stream. I take decent. You know, it's a lot worse adjectives. Probably better adjectives, a lot worse adjectives you could say. Than decent. I'll take decent. Thanks, mate. Cheers for listening. As I said, this will go up on YouTube as well for anyone to watch. So, cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and I'll speak to you all soon.